All right, Mr. Gibbs, do you have an announcement to make before the meeting?
I do. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is a duly advertised caucus meeting of the Yeadon Borough Council. Pursuant to the governor's emergency declaration, we are meeting via Zoom. As such, this meeting is recorded. There is no reasonable expectation of privacy. By participating in this meeting and continuing to stay in the meeting, you consent to being recorded. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Gibbs. I'll call the meeting to order and we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag.
To the flag.
United States.
United States of
To the
America.
flag.
And to the
And to the republic
stands
for which
Which
it
is
stands,
stand.
one nation,
one nation, under
God,
God,
liberty,
liberty,
and justice
liberty,
for
and
all.
justice for all.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Secretary, can you please proceed with roll call?
Mayor Hampkins,
Present.
President Monroe,
Present.
Vice President Francis,
Present.
Councilor Johnson,
Present.
Councilor Jones Waters,
Present.
Councilor McCabe,
Present.
Councilor Cave,
Hi, everybody. I'm here.
Councilor Rollcloud,
Here.
Solicitor Gibbs,
Good evening, I'm present.
Madam Tax Collector,
Present.
and our engineer.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any citizens present for the Citizens Forum?
If you wish to participate in the Citizens Forum, at this time, you can raise your hand and we will recognize you. I have Michael Trent, Madam President. May I recognize him?
Thank you.
Hello, Mr. Trent. Please state your name and your address for the record, please.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Michael Trent, 906 Allen Drive.
You can proceed with your public comments, sir.
Okay. It's more of a question as opposed to a comment. Our group was approved last year for a donation from the borough, and I was just checking to see when we might be able to expect the check.
Good evening, Mr. Trent. That is actually going to be on the October payables list for council to approve at its legislative session next week.
Okay. And then after that, how soon would we possibly be able to get the check?
Checks are mailed after council's approval the following Friday.
Thank you very much. I guess that was Nafis, right?
Yes, I'm sorry.
That's all right. Thanks, Nafis. That was it.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Trent. Mr. Gibbs, are there any other citizens wishing to comment?
Madam President, there are no other raised hands in this forum.
Thank you. We'll proceed with our mayor for the mayor's report.
My written report stands as submitted. I just want to bring up one thing, and I've been speaking to the chief about it in the last week or so, is that I'm getting increasingly concerned about the safety of the election, and that we're prepared to make sure that the election, I'm not talking about the mechanics of the election, that's the YDC, but that the elections are free from fear and intimidation, especially from right-wing vigilante groups. I'm getting some concerns from residents, but if you saw what happened today, the Michigan governor, they stopped a right-wing vigilante group from abducting her, trying her for treason, and possibly executing her. And the country is on the tinderbox edge. And I don't want to be an alarmist or throw something out there that's not warranted, but I really do believe that we're living in very uncharted times. And Yeadon happens to be probably one of the most democratic, if not the most democratic municipality in the state, if not the country. It votes, Yeadon had the highest plurality voting for President Obama than any municipality in the country per an article, a national article. And that's one of the reasons he came here. It's really like a thank you. So it was the highest. So we you know, I don't want to be an alarmist, but I want to be prepared that we make sure or ensure that, you know, we're ready in case anything goes down. So I've been talking to the chief about that. The problem is that police cannot go into the polling booth or even be outside and stand guard, because that is considered by itself possible form of intimidation. So there's a reverse aspect to that. However, we can beef up, you know, undercover or plainclothes patrolling without violating that edict, where police officers are not normally allowed in the polling booth or anywhere near the polls, except in an emergency or a 911 call. And then they'd have to leave as soon as the matter is taken care of. So those are the things that I'm balancing and that I'm speaking about. So actually, I had a talk with Dr. McCabe about that this week, because she brought certain things to my attention as well that she was concerned about. So I just wanted to put that out there, that we are looking at it and we're preparing a measured response to the degree that we can. So that is on the table. And I did want to know everyone to know that it is a matter of concern, and we have to be prepared, and for good reason, especially because of our makeup. If nothing happens, it's great, but we got to be. That ends my report. Unless there's any questions.
I guess my question would be for the chief. Are we aware and prepared for just getting to November 4th?
We are. There's been no intelligence information from our Delaware County intelligence agency that gleans information from the internet and so forth to try to pinpoint issues that may be in Delaware County and or specific boroughs, townships, jurisdictions, whatever. But we will have enough manpower on the street, and we're listening and keep an eye on things to make sure that we get ahead and not catch up.
All right, thank you. Mr. Gibbs, have you, I know you're in several other municipalities. Have you heard anything comparable or of concern that you'd like to add?
No, but you know, I have not. And outside of my solicitorship, I actually practiced some election law. And today, I presented to 200 state judges on election law, including the judges in Delaware County, which will be Judge Amoroso and Judge Dozer, on what the parameters are. Mayor, I will tell you, so one of the things that, you know, we'll have a conversation offline, but the court system is ready, willing, and able to enforce the election code to make sure that we have safe passage for people going to our polling places. And they'll use the sheriffs, constables, and police as necessary throughout the county. Every county, every judge in the state is committed to doing the same thing. Madam President, the only concern that we've heard raised is if someone decides not to wear a mask in a polling place, and how would the court handle that? And while the court judges didn't give their hand, I think that they'll let people vote, but they'll make sure a person votes by themselves. There's no actionable intelligence, and I think the chief is right that there is some concern that people are coming to Yeadon, Darby, or any place in this area, because their concern won't be Chief Papero. Their concern will be the people who live in our town who don't want someone trying to interfere with their right to cast their ballot. The other thing is Delaware County is reporting record high numbers of mail-in and drop-off ballots. So we may have a rather uneventful election day as we know it.
If I could just throw 2 cents in, we're still carrying masks. So if we get a call for someone arriving at a polling station without a mask, we'll shoot over and give them the mask so they can vote.
And by shoot over, he means
Madam
just drive
President.
really fast.
Madam
Yes.
President.
Yes, thank you. Dr.
Madam
McCabe.
President, may I speak?
Yes, ma'am.
This is Dr. McCabe. I do want to say to the chief and the solicitor that the threat that's being made online is for if Biden wins, this is what's going to happen. Then they want to say if Biden loses, that Black Lives Matter will be angry and these white groups will be ready for them. But there is a threat regardless to the way that the election comes out. Trump has already warned us. A lot of what he says, you can't take that seriously, but I do think that we should take seriously that he wants to show the power he has at the drop of a hat. He can call his people and they can go to work. And I think that would be foolish not to think about that. And if it doesn't happen, wonderful. But I think that we would be foolish not to think about it ahead of time.
I totally agree.
All right, thank you very much.
Dr. McCabe, I agree as well.
All right, so we'll definitely stay prepared, and maybe we'll have a pre-election special public safety meeting, so that we're able to come up with the game plan and all the stakeholders. Mr. Nichols, can you please try to coordinate something between now and, or actually our next public safety meeting is before election day, so we should be.
It is.
Okay, right, okay,
It's
so
on the
we just
third.
want to make sure. All right, so we want to make sure that we include election safety as an agenda item on that day.
Actually, the date is perfect because it's October 31st. So it's 3 days before the election, and we're going to have a lot of lead up time to make sure everything's in order. I've already spoken to Director Nafis Nicholson, making sure that we have the money for enough part-timers, and that money is not an object in how we need to staff. And Dr. McCabe makes a good point. We got to be prepared leading up to the election, the very day, and perhaps the day or two after. So it could have the effect of the civil unrest that we had in the summer, and we have to be prepared for that. And I, for one, as the mayor, meeting with the police chief and all the particulars to make sure that we're ready to keep our borough and our residents safe.
All right, thank you, Mayor. All right, and that's the end of your report, correct?
That's the end of my report, yes.
Great, thank you. All right, so on a somewhat lighter note, my report includes another grant that we were able to secure from the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. It's a matching grant that was awarded to us in the amount of $112,200 for upgrades in Yeadon Community Park. It's something that we've been discussing for some time, and we're working with some community members to get input on what it is that the community would like to see happen over there. Of course, we'll include our borough planning, our public works, our police chief, as we make these upgrades to give our residents another an outdoor outlet that they'll be able to utilize in our area. So far, we've had some suggestions like I guess low hanging fruit is leveling out the soccer fields, adding additional seating, upgrading the walking paths, new exercise equipment, and even a spray ground for the kids where they'd be able to utilize in the summer during the hot months. And again, just great things happening within our community. And we'll continue to, I'm not sure, Mr. Nichols, are you still keeping a running total of the amount of grants that we've received this year?
Yes, Madam President, we are, and we have a few more that we're waiting to hear about if we were awarded or not, but we will present that when we start our budget process and our year-end report.
All right. Other than that, I just want to continue to encourage everyone to exercise your right to vote. Bring a friend. The deadline to register is October 19th. And then also to make sure to complete your census information. There are links on our website to how to do so if you're not aware, for both, but just to make sure that we exercise the rights that have been afforded to us, and that our ancestors have died to make sure that we were able to achieve. So there ends my report. I will turn it over to—
Madam President, can I real quick just point out that the census has been extended. It was threatened to be cut off on September the 30th, and it's been extended right now till October 31st. I think I'm correct in that, so we just want to make sure that everybody knows that that's the deadline, the new deadline.
All right, the new deadline for the census, 10/31. Make sure to get yours complete and check on your neighbors and make sure that they've completed them as well. There ends my report. I'll now turn it over to Mr. Nichols for the manager's report.
Thank you, Madam President. Mayor, great segue. That was the first thing on our report, was that the census deadline has been extended to October 31st of 2020. We're excited about that and trying to do everything we can to get that information out and encourage as many people as possible to participate. Delaware County hosted some flu shot clinics throughout the county, and that was also encouraged for residents to participate. Those flu shot clinics were through the month of October, and we again put that information out for residents to participate. On this Friday, our Workplace Safety Committee will be participating in a Workplace Safety Committee training seminar hosted by author Jay Gallagher and company. The training, if we have 100% participation, which we always do, will result the borough in a 5% premium discount on all of our property and casualty and workers' compensation insurance. We were also able to negotiate a 0% increase in health insurance wages for year 2021, so we're excited about that as well. 417 Church Lane emergency sanitary sewer repairs will need additional work. The engineer will report later about that. The Aqua PA water main replacement project was completed on October 2nd, 2020. The tile work in the atrium is now completed and cleaned up. We're again excited about that as well. We had some successes around the rain garden and information. I don't want to take Mr. Payne's thunder. He may talk about this as it relates to the rain garden outside of the Yeadon Library, but we were able to have some great success there. Ms. Presswood worked on that. We're on phase 2 of the PA Smart Ideas program as well. That starts this week, and that will help us reduce our energy costs and also energy usage in Borough Hall and also at the Public Works building. We did receive a report from the consultant which was hired about the comprehensive plan related to lighting and cameras. We got that report today, so we are going to sit down and analyze that. and hope to report out more on that at next week's meeting if possible. Items in progress, management along with Mr. Payne and Jeff from Public Works are met with representatives from the Delaware County Bureau of Elections to discuss the best area to install the ballot box and the surveillance cameras at the library. The pole for the camera is installed and the ballot box and cameras will follow. We're in the process of interviewing 2 seasonal Public Works employees, and that will be conducted very, very soon. There may be a possibility that that will be an agenda item on next week's meeting if we get through the interviews. Jeff and I have interviews scheduled for tomorrow and Tuesday. Bid openings for the elevator repair are scheduled for October the 14th. And the fall newsletter edits are just about done, and the final distribution will be coming out very, very soon. We know that we want to get it out before Election Day, so we're going to spend a little additional cash to have that expedited. And winter newsletter submissions are due no later than October 30th. There ends my report, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Nichols. We'll move on to our solicitor's report.
Good evening, Madam President. I'll make a fuller report to council next week before the meeting about some outstanding litigation matters. Other than that, my report is concluded.
All right, thank you, Mr.
Are there any
Gibbs.
questions for me? Did you have a question, Madam President?
I did not. All right, we will move on to our tax collector's report.
Okay, good evening, everyone. The tax collector's report for the month of September. Under real estate, we collected $20,598.33. For sewer, we collected $13,548.78. And under the trash, we collected $7,332. So the total amount collected for the tax collector was $41,479.11. I look back at September last year, and I think due to the pandemic, the figures are completely different. Last year in September, we collected $9,940.16 for real estate, $4,066.26 for sewer, and $3,960 for trash, which was a grand total of only $17,966.42. With our extension on our payments and the stimulus checks and the pandemic unemployment, I think that encouraged greater payments this time. I was asked for some type of percentages, and I look back, and in February, we started off with folios totaling 3,669. Those are our residents. To date, 3,098 people have paid. And we have, that gives us 84.4% that is paid in. And we only have 15.56% that is still owed, which is very good. The total owing right now is 571 folios. We're in the process of sending our final reminders. Mayor, that's why we're still upstairs. As soon as we get them all stamped, we'll be moving downstairs. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. That's a really good rate that we have. I'm glad to see that so many people have been able to pay.
Me too.
Let's see, we have Mr. Payne for our library report.
Good evening, everyone. Madam President, my report stands as submitted, but I would like to make a few additions. One is that we're currently proceeding with our audit. Special thanks to Mr. Nichols for his assistance. We're moving right along and hope to have that done in the next few weeks. The ballot drop box should be installed hopefully by the end of the week. They do have the poll in, as Mr. Nichols said. They're going to put up the camera, and then the ballot box should be installed after that. I have spoken with Chief Papara about some of our concerns. They will monitor, the county will monitor everything about it, and we'll have the camera monitoring it. But I spoke with our police chief because I was concerned if someone calls, if someone sees something going wrong, they're going to call 911. And so I want to make sure we have the proper contact information so that's handled appropriately. So special thanks to him also. And Mr. Wilkinson came out and met with us too. And special thanks to him because he's going to help us in relocating our trash can and some other things, and also doing some landscaping projects around the library. We've also, I just found out today that we're going to get $1,534 from the Office of Commonwealth Libraries. That will go to help us pay for PPE and other things that we might need during COVID. So that's really good news for us. And that ends my report. Anyone have any questions?
Mr. Payne, I just want to let you know that your report is mailed out to all of the council members. But if there are anyone from the public who's on here, they may not have seen your report yet. So if you want to give us the highlight of what's in your written report,
sure, and I apologize.
Not
I didn't
a problem.
realize that. We had 15 programs this month, 199 attendees. Those were virtual. We also are going to be handing out meals again in conjunction with the Archdiocese. There'll be 5-day meal packs for youth, and we're going to hand those out on Tuesdays from 2:30 to 5. So anyone who would like to pick up some, please do. Also, this month we checked out 1,892 items via curbside checkout. And we're going to also offer a series of virtual programs and virtual homework help for students. Today, I also met with Dr. Eric B. Coates from the Superintendent of Schools from William Penn School District to discuss ways that the library can partner with the school system. So we're going to work together with the schools and try to do some special projects. And that ends my report. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All righty. We'll move on to our engineer's report.
Good evening. Garjoul is still working on Church Lane in the vicinity of 417. They have approximately 10 feet of main to still replace and one lateral that crosses from the east side all the way across to the west side. So they will be doing that entire replacement. They did run into a couple issues. There's a lot of utilities in the area where the main is on the east side. So, and it's right up against the curb. There's a utility pole in the way. They're going to have a contractor come out and hold that pole in place while they do the work. Otherwise, there's a risk that the power lines will, the pole could be jeopardized and the power lines they're live power lines, they could injure and cause a real catastrophe. So that's different from what was expected. And the other thing, they also brought in a company that does what's called a soft dig. There were so many utilities down there and the line is about 12 feet deep. So it was hard to dig around all of these. So what they do is they bring in a company that actually vacuums out the soil. So instead of using an excavator to remove all the backfill, they brought in a company that can actually vacuum out the area so that it doesn't jeopardize the lines. All those two things do add to the price, as Nafis mentioned. So we don't have a total yet, but they are coming in on the ending. And I doubt they'll finish. They're working at night. I doubt that they'll finish by tomorrow night, but I would expect by next week that they'll be finished. The other thing I wanted to bring up is there's a grant that that's being issued by FEMA. It's a 75%, 25% match. And the borough would need to send a letter of intent by October 15th. It was sent with the report. There's different items that can be applied for. We just had that, as Jeff spoke last month, they had that SSO, the sewer overflow in the vicinity of Cobb's Creek. I wrote and asked if they would actually pay, if a grant would be eligible for replacement of the sewer, doing spot repairs on that sewer line where the issues are. And the answer I got back, not a yes or a no, but send the letter of intent in and see what happens. So that was one project I had written back to the management telling them which type of projects are eligible. So if anyone looks at that list and decides that there's other things, the code department may want to look at that, then the borough can apply for anything that's an eligible project. And the key is to get the letter of intent in by October 15th if the borough is interested in applying. And then the other outstanding item is the elevator, as Nafis said, that their bids will be coming in on the rewiring. And we are in discussions, the solicitor and Nafis and I have been in discussions regarding the contractor who did the work last year. So still ongoing, those discussions. And that's it.
All right, thank you, Eileen. Let's see, we will move on to our committee reports. Please let us know if your committee met via Zoom. We will start with finance, Mr. Cave.
Hey, hi, good evening, everybody. Just in addition to the normal items next week, we will be confirming the budget workshop schedule. They will be held via Zoom. And so if there's any suggestions to the schedule or any special requirements, feel free to reach out to either myself or Mr. Nichols. And we will, do we vote, is that a motion for next week, or is that, I forget if we need to actually vote to advertise that, but either way, we will confirm that next week.
Yeah, Councilor Cable, I don't think in the past we voted on it. We just did like an announcement at the meeting and made sure that the information was on all of our outlets so that the community and public would know that we were meeting.
Got it. And that concludes my report, Madam President.
Thank you. Ordinance and zoning.
Mr. Stokes actually is on vacation celebrating his birthday. I know Mr. Wormley was on, but I don't know if we let him in. Well, he's probably, yeah,
Okay.
He submitted
So,
a written report. A report was submitted written, so we have it.
okay. Do you want to go over any of the highlights of that report, please?
One thing that I will say that we've had a conversation with the code department about development that happens in the borough. A big question came up about 1100 Chester Avenue, and that project is underway. It's underway by a private developer. One thing that we want to do moving forward, or we want to do moving forward, we understand that when private developers are here and doing work on their private property, there's not really a whole lot of things we can do legally, but there are common courtesies that we know that we should do to be good neighbors and good stewards. So we will, in the future, make sure that the surrounding areas around those construction sites, that we are informing the neighbors about what's going on, you know, to make sure that we just don't interfere with things. But in Mr. Stokes' report, it is a information section regarding 1100 Chester Avenue. It's going to be totally demolished. The ground level is going to be storefronts, levels 2 and 3 apartments, and parking in the rear. So it's going to beautify that area. I know it's been an eyesore for quite some time for the borough, but you know, now the private owner is really doing something there. Also, code is going to be doing blitz throughout the borough over the next several weeks to really enforce a lot of the ordinances. And we will start to have some internal conversations. And Councilor Rocloud, I need to reach out to you because we want to start that pick back up where we kind of left off when you and I know you and the solicitor had a conversation at one point about really looking at the ordinances related to code and start updating those ordinances and present them to council so that we can put some teeth behind what we need to do to make sure that we preserve and or increase the overall quality of life in the borough. So those are the highlights, Madam President.
All right, thank you. Let's move on to
a question, if I could, please.
Councilor Rocloud.
Thank you, Mr. Nichols. I appreciate you. I do have a couple of issues that I noticed today. Actually, it has to do with graffiti. The TriStar has graffiti red on the side of their wall, located on a Church Lane side. That graffiti has been there for quite a while because I remember sending an email probably last year about it, and it's still there. But now I'm noticing graffiti is now across the street. I believe it's the old bank on the corner of Chester and Church Lane. Not only is graffiti written on that property as well, but someone or some people are storing shopping carts with ladders attached on the side of the building between the old bank and the apartment parking lot that's right behind it. So it's looking a mess again. So hopefully we could just put that, on our radar.
Thanks, Councilor Rocklott. I'll make sure first thing in the morning when I get in that I have a conversation with the code department and we start to address those issues.
Thank you.
All right. We will move on to Public Works. All right, we'll move on to Public Works.
Good evening, everyone. So we had one emergency call out during the month of September. That was on September 1st. We got a call at 1 o'clock in the morning for a multi-car crash along Church Lane. We threw 3 tons of sand and oil dry to prevent the street from becoming slick and in order to dry up all the hazardous material before it ran into the storm drain. Abatements were not cut during the month of September. However, we are cutting the last 2 tomorrow morning, so abatements will be done tomorrow. We're still cutting the 15 owned grass plots that the borough owns. The sweeper. So the sweeper has been down for the past week and a half. We actually just finished up repairs on it today, and we sent it out, to kind of hit the streets and test everything out today. So you'll start seeing that around. Sanitary sewer, other than what Eileen said about Church Lane, it's been a relatively quiet September in regards to sanitary sewer issues. School zone signs have been tested and turned on. We are in the process of repairing the intersection of McDade and Bell, as well as the Church Lane sign. That is a fuse and a breaker issue. We are looking at that tomorrow. New signs are on order as those 2 sections are those signs are faded. Street painting of all major intersections in town has also been completed. The paint machine has been purchased, and moving forward next year, when we go about painting, we will be incorporating that. Signs are being straightened, faded signs are being replaced all around town, and potholes are being filled as they pop up. During the month of September, we also completed our MS4 testing. We took water samples from 6 outfall locations and sent them out to the lab, where we are currently waiting for our results from the outfall tests. Leaf season is set to begin October 13th. And e-waste, B&L canceled the e-waste event. So moving forward, what we're going to do the last Friday of every single month, between the hours of 8 a.m. and 3 p.m., we will be accepting electronic waste from residents. The only thing I ask is that they stop in the office beforehand, show proof of Yeadon residency, and also have proper COVID PPE. And that concludes my report. Any questions?
Could you give those dates again for the electronic waste?
So the e-waste will begin in October, the last Friday of the month, which is October 30th, and moving forward, it will be held every single month on the last Friday of the month.
Last Friday of the month. Okay, and is that all day, the last Friday?
Between the hours of 8 and 3.
8 and 3. Okay.
All right, can we make sure the new information is updated?
Yes, so that information is in the newsletter and online.
Thank you.
Yep,
Madam
not a problem.
President, may I speak?
Ma'am.
I believe that you asked in the beginning, correct me if I'm wrong, that we start back up our committee meetings. If that was the question, no, we have not. Public Works have not started their committee. I will call Jeff probably first thing during the new week and discuss with him when we can start.
All right, thank you. So if that ends your report, we'll move on to our public safety report.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Public Safety Committee did meet on Saturday, September 26th. And so we've never stopped meeting due to the nature of our work. And I believe there's one action item. It was discussed that there is a problem of illegally parked cars, particularly when cars are covered. They have a covering. I believe the current ordinance prevents it from being towed, and there was a recommendation to speak to the solicitor to see if we could change the ordinance. If some car is parked and they don't have the proper tags and it's not properly registered, that it can be towed. So that was the action item. So the chief, do you want to comment on that, solicitor? You're muted. You're muted.
Can't hear you.
Yeah, you're muted.
How about now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Give me the scenario again. Is the car parked on private property or public street?
Either, right? Chief, we've had issues where it's been parked on. Why don't you take it away, because you're more well-versed in it.
We're having problems with both public and private property. There's a lot of cars in Yeadon that people are covering with tarps or car carriers, and the ordinance should read to where the tag has to be displayed. A lot of the car covers come with like a clear plastic covering over the tag area, so a police officer, while he's driving down the street, can check the tag to make sure that it's valid, not stolen, and so forth. The other issue we're having is some of the property owners are allowing various individuals to store cars or do work in their private property lots, and then they're leaving the cars in situations, where code has to get involved unless it's good.
Go ahead, Chief.
Yeah, so if code gets involved when it appears to be abandoned, I usually take it upon myself if the vehicle's up on, for instance, on jacks or something along that line, I'll have it towed for a safety reason. But we probably need a little bit more teeth in the ordinances and maybe a little bit more on our website to also alert. We have so many individuals in town that are buying cars to send them overseas, buying cars to sell them at auction, buying cars to sell them on the street. And with the parking being a premium, it's becoming a problem that I've noticed for the past year. And normally we are towing cars when tags don't match the car, or there's no inspection on the cars. So kind of a look at the ordinance. We need to sit down and maybe look at the ordinances together.
Okay, I'll take a look at it. And I took a look at it, and I'm looking at some notes last summer, and my opinion, I don't think it's changed much, but I'll check the case law. There's some case law that allows people to park cars that are tarped on their private property. If we believe that a person is breaking the law or allowing for someone to conduct business, code can do an administrative search warrant. The issue we run into is lifting the tarps to go search on private property, we need to, the government just can't do that unless we have some reason to believe that criminal activity is afoot or a violation of our ordinances at foot. Parking a car on your private property doesn't get us there. On the street, public property is a completely different story. So I'll take a look at the code. I'll take a look at where the Commonwealth Court, if they've issued any rulings, but I formulated some opinions around this issue in July of 2019. So
Yeah,
I will take another look at it.
I agree with you that we can go on. I agree with you that we can't go on private property and lift up a tarp and look at it without probable cause. But what I can tell you is that from my cruising around town, I can tell you there are several locations where cars are under tarps and they've been there since I've been employed. So without any kind of ordinance with teeth in it, it becomes an eyesore and a quality of life issue for the people around those people that are basically letting the car deteriorate under a tarp.
Okay, I'll take a look at the ordinance and the case law. I don't want to get us sued on something, so I'll make sure we're doing it.
I agree. I agree.
That's all I have. Do you have anything else, Chief?
For the public safety, no.
Dr. McCabe, do you?
You're muted, Dr. McCabe.
You're muted.
Sorry about that.
That's right.
No, I think you've covered it. The rest they could read in the report.
Sounds good. That's all we have, Madam President.
All right, do we have anything from our fire department or emergency management?
I don't think they're online.
All righty. We'll move on to recreation.
Good evening, Madam President. Everybody, good evening.
Good evening.
Due to the COVID virus, all the recreational programs and events have been canceled. We will start next month meetings, possibly to plan for next year. So ends my report, Madam President.
I have a question. I'm sorry,
Okay.
quick question. Are we still having the tree lighting since it's outdoors?
Right at this point, I don't think so. We'll discuss that. As far as the gathering, I'll speak with the mayor about that. But right at this point, the committee thought not to have it, but we will have further discussion.
Okay, great.
Okay.
All right, and then are we updating our calendar as events come up that they are canceled or postponed or rescheduled, Mr. Nichols?
Yes, Madam President, we've been doing that. We're actually doing a scrubbing of the website on Monday.
All right. As we were chatting, I received the correspondence from the school board that in-person classes were scheduled to resume in November, but they're only going to resume for a few families who have a particular set of needs, about 130 families. So school won't be opening in November, and they haven't given another date. I thought that was something worthy to report. And without anything additional, that would
I have
conclude our meeting.
I have something, Madam President.
All right, Dr. McCabe.
I think if we're going to do this format using Zoom for an unspecified amount of time, that at some point we should evaluate and make sure that, we could kind of make this a little more interesting and not have us feel like as soon as we give our report, we can shut down our page. And maybe you're still listening, but it's like, it's just a white dot there. And I think that we should, look at this. If we're going to do this for an indefinite period of time, couldn't it be, a little more interactive or interesting or, something? Otherwise, we could just send a memo out.
Okay, I think, we do have to allow the public to be involved. So sending out a memo wouldn't really meet our governmental obligations. Mr. Gibbs, do you want to remind us of the requirements of our elected position?
I thought Dr. McKay wanted me to turn my camera back on so she could see my face.
That's right. That's right.
How's it going, Doc? I'm here.
I'm doing
I just
okay.
did it.
And I'm using my big light.
I just turned my face on so that you can see I'm here.
Thank you. Oh, there's the chief too. My goodness.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you got something going on here now. You know what I mean?
All right. The tax collector has shown up. All right.
Yeah, instead of a white dot, right?
They at least could make it a black dot, right?
Thank you, Dr. McKay. So if there's anything else that you think that we can do to make this a little more interactive and interesting, just send us over an email and we'll get it done for the next meeting. Our next meeting will be our legislative session next Thursday at 7 p.m.
And we want some creative ideas. Don't
Black
just
dots
say, I
matter.
don't have any ideas about how to do it. All of you have been in many different meetings and you have creative ideas.
All righty. So,
Madam President, motion to adjourn.
all right, there's a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
There's a second.
All right, the meeting's adjourned. Have a great night, everyone. Thanks for attending.
Yeah,
Good
have a
night.
good
Everyone.
Thanks for everybody. Yep.
Good night.
Good night.